Good morning, beautiful souls. Happy Friday. It's the Woodland Chronicles, week 32. And as I'm just hitting record, you can hear the raindrops. So I don't think this year I've had a soaking while I'm speaking. You might have seen me out here in the rain or walking in the rain, but I don't think I've had a recording where I've sat here and just got wetter and wetter like previous years. How did you all find Lionsgate, the 8th of the 8th, or the period around it? I think we're kind of looking not just at a particular date, a singular day. We're looking at a era or a period of energy that's happening even now as I'm speaking, but the peak of it, or the actual intensity of it, happened in a different, almost a completely different time space altogether, as far as kind of the unique experience and the integration of it occurred. And I ran the online workshop with David Essery, which was incredibly powerful. We were working with the violet flame of the one true heart, the new version of the violet flame that Lavisa Altorn identified, which is mixed with, the violet, but mixed with aquamarine and creates such a beautiful fusion of energy and colours, which matches the colour of the higher heart. But the most incredible aspect of the day working with David was to have the privilege of Melchizedek, the very high frequency soul, the ascended soul. Some may know him as a master, some may refer to him or perceive him as an angel, but usually he tends to work in smaller quantities, in smaller numbers, either with an individual who's bringing through a channeling capacity, or in a larger group, but not too many, sort of 8 to 10 people maybe at the very most. On the 8th of the 8th, we were working in a field resonance of thousands. So that, for me, in my personal line of experience, was a first, and it was a very, very powerful way to celebrate that particular portal of energy. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit this morning because there's, as you all know, as I've said and many others will say, we live in incredible times. We live in an era that we will never be able to replicate again, and we never had a true idea of how this 20-year period would go. So when we kicked off the shift from 3D to 5D on the cosmic moment in 2012, we entered unknown territory. And as you might have heard me speaking about previously, other illumined souls, mostly the galactics, who've been through the same process that Earth is going through now, did it on a much more kind of spread out scale. So I use the example of the Sirius constellation and the beings of light who work and live and thrive and teach and impart knowledge and assist within the Sirius cluster, the learning planes of Sirius. And they did what we are doing now, but it took more like 300 years in Earth years, and this is direct information having inquired. And we've chosen to do it in 20. I've expressed my amazement about this particular decision before, how we sound like we're all sat round at the table organising this in the higher realms, a couple of beers in and feeling a bit full of bravado perhaps, but amazingly we're doing it and we're doing well. We're ahead of schedule. There's no kind of blips on the horizon what we've done has been very difficult. It's been very challenging. We're going to be looking at kind of many of us who've been participating in this wholeheartedly, right, like kind of from the beginning, are going to need to learn how to detune from the intensity at the other end. I mean, it's been noted on many occasions that a lot of light workers are suffering from a form of PTSD, where the nervous system is perpetually in a state of shock because it's attempting to keep up with a shift in energy that is happening so fast and coming at us from all angles. And not only that, we're going through the process of revelation. So all of a sudden what was hidden is now being revealed, and in many cases this is deeply uncomfortable. And not only are we seeing and feeling and witnessing and realizing many things that we were probably, you know, if we're honest, we were dodging, we were avoiding beforehand. Not only are we seeing all of this, but there is also an overabundance of available information for all of us to be navigating, which is why now more than ever, and again this is a drum that I appear to be beating regularly at the moment, we are calling in the lessons and the need for discernment on every little single thing that we're being presented with. And the one that was highlighted to me, and the one that I want to look at a little bit this morning, was something that is still going on at the moment. And I don't think the context of it is particularly unique or anything, but there's information that's going around that's creating division within the light ranks. In actual fact, it's been witnessed that, you know, the second you have a divided opinion, when you're looking at it from an unhealed perspective, the second you've got a divided opinion, you have opposing sides, and these opposing sides are both speaking their version of the truth. And if that version of truth isn't being accepted by the other side, all hell breaks loose. And we're seeing this again and again on social media. It really began to manifest itself. The head of the snake rose in 2020, when all of a sudden we had one group of souls wholeheartedly believing that, you know, the planet was in danger, and to believe the relevant kind of advice and everything that was given out. And there was another group who could very clearly see right through it, who was saying no. And immediately you have opposition. Well, the same kind of level of infiltration is occurring at the moment with divisive information that's being put into the light field. And a lot of this is regarding the authenticity of the ascended masters that we work with, the angels, the archangels, the beings that step forwards. And most interestingly of note of late was the fact that we are apparently celebrating events like the Lionsgate at completely the wrong time, and therefore we are placing our energy into negative places rather than positive. And this is where kind of the light bulbs start flashing on for me a little bit, because when you have a group of souls co-creating from a heart-centered perspective, using the power of the mighty I Am presence, that energy is untouchable. Okay, you cannot therefore siphon that with a lower frequency, manipulate it and use it for nefarious deeds. That energy exists at that frequency. Okay, it cannot be tainted, it cannot be manipulated, it cannot be therefore taken and used for something else. It is what it is, and we have been creating from the heart. And it just makes me realize a little bit that maybe the actual dates that we are focusing on aren't of importance. Time isn't of relevance. Dates aren't of such relevance. What's absolutely essential is the fact that we are gathering together and focusing upon a point of light, a positive manifestation in harmony with each other. So as we, and in some cases there's always an element of truth, there's always an element of correctness in, you know, the old saying, there's no smoke without fire kind of thing. When we move even further into the fifth dimensional frequencies, as we invariably are, we're co-creating this, we're doing it together. There's no doubt that this is happening. Time, dates, calendars, they will have less meaning. And when we are fully immersed in a fifth dimensional frequency, time will be what we apply it to, what we apply it to be. If we're kind of like dragging our heels and we're bored and we're like huffing and puffing and like can't really kind of get on with our day, then time will stretch. And as you all know from us, particularly with the incredible pace that this year has moved, if you are focusing upon something that is keeping you active, it is keeping you busy, you are invested in it, then that time just vanishes. Very much like I'm talking to you today on the 11th of August, and it seems like yesterday that I was kicking off the year with a New Year walk and talk, or a sit down and a meditation, however we did it. I'll have to look back and check. So there's this almost, it's become quite habit forming, I think, and social media, whereas social media is a ground for all of it. It's provided us with the platform to connect with one another over the world, everywhere. Everybody has managed to connect with each other due to the medium of social media. Without Facebook, without Zoom, we would still kind of, you know, we would not have had the capacity or the tools to really work together with one another in the way that we had to connect, to build groups, to build light fields. But it's also allows us to argue about things, which basically are a complete waste of energy and a complete just, you can just see your time and your energy vanishing into these kind of opposing opinions and I'm right, you know, you're wrong, and vice versa. Sorry, I'm getting slightly chewed by midges this morning, but I just think it's a time of year. And again, I call for everybody who hears this and resonates with the message to just be aware, to bring it back to center whenever placed in this situation. People will invariably question at some point what you believe in, even if you speak the truth from the most heart-centered place of power. There will always be somebody that goes, that's not correct. My opinion is correct and yours isn't. And therefore it's almost like this human need to prove each other wrong comes out. But what kind of drew my attention to it is the fact that when information is inserted into a belief system and therefore creates mistrust, doubt, it comes with an element of fear. Now, when immediately we are placed into fear, doubting ourselves, doubting our connections, doubting our abilities to perceive what's true, that knocks us out of center instantaneously. And I know it's happened to me. It's happened to me on a regular basis. It's still something that I work with, I hone. I'm on the case. I'm always watching where my information comes from, what I'm doing with it. And especially in the past, I've always had to check, recheck, and check again, 3 gateways usually, before I put information out into the field, because I'm human, doubt what I was receiving. So we have this kind of game that goes on, and it's inspired by the matrix to insert doubt, confusion, division within the ranks of the light workers. And that is actually, at this moment in time, the very last thing that we need to be doing. So on the occasions that you might be presented with, say, an event that you disagree with, a time that people are celebrating, or a piece of information that is circulating, if it doesn't resonate with you, scroll on, okay? It's one of these things that we don't necessarily need to intercede, because we're not the saviors of the situation. We are simply here to present our version of the truth. If something is misaligned, if it is out of alignment, it will find its realignment point later on, because the way that the vibrations are set at the moment, the higher the frequency, the shorter the lifespan for untruth there is. I mean, if something is out of alignment with the universal flow of truth, it gets pulled back to center very, very quickly. And the same is occurring amongst many of, and we've seen it happening for years, people who are speaking words, but they're not actually aligned with their actions or who they truly are. And so this is all part of the revelation. But regarding the kind of the fear about information, about dates, do what you are guided to do from your heart. But if anything is given to you that creates confusion, doubt, fear, ask yourself whether that information is for you or not, whether it's actually resonating with you on a truth point, whether it's resonating with you because it's igniting your kind of the inner child, self-doubt, lack of trust, all these kind of things. And we were invariably going to see this, okay, because the more of us that are awake, the more powerful we are, the more united we are, the more we are cohesively working with each other. What better an opportunity via the 3D matrix than to start breaking us up into camps that disagree with each other? And of course, one of the great joys of waking up on the spiritual pathway is to have one's ego tested, to have that self, that sense of self placed in the spotlight. How do we act when we're given power? How do we use that power? How do we convey the information that we are presenting to others? Do we believe that we are just here to do the job, or do we believe that the job or the role or the position has given us authority or a sense of betterment or entitlement over others who we regard as maybe not quite in that position? We have to be very, very careful how we speak to others at all times, how we convey how we feel, whether we believe that we have the fires of truth burning within us, or whether we are defending a situation, whether we've had our feelings triggered, whether somebody is coming to us with information that is different to ours. Now is the time to be sorting all of this out, because the further we move into the fifth dimensional frequencies, the more powerful the call for alignment will be. Okay, there is a vibration, a platform, a frequency of universal truth, and the further we are in the fifth dimensional frequencies, the more aligned we will be required. We are required to be. So now is a very useful period. On the other side of the Lion's Gate, it's even higher around this world than it was previously. There's even more people awake. There's been what we could almost describe as a cosmic defibrillator that has sent a wave of light out through the higher heart of the entire planet, which means we are going to have millions of souls joining us, looking for guidance, looking for teachings, looking for the correct way to be, jobs to do, work that needs to be done, all of these things. And we are responsible for giving the best version of ourselves over as teachers, as guides, as leaders, when these people are waking up, which they will. So how are we going to use that? How are we going to use that sense of responsibility, that leadership? Are we leading from the heart? Are we leading from the ego still? Are we wasting time having huge differences of opinions about what is going on? Or are we simply working to improve the vibration and actually cohesively joining one another with the intention of moving towards our target vibration, which is getting closer and closer by the day? So this is it. I'm just about to wrap this up now. The opportunity to be divided will be highlighted at every turn, every available moment that the 3D matrix can slip something in there that will blow us apart as a cohesive unit. It will do so, and we need to be aware of this. So just stay in your heart centers, breathe your way through any potential conflict, anything that presents itself, recenter, check yourself on the other side, and carry on doing what you do best. So sending you all so much love. I will be going to Wales on the 17th to work with my good friend Lavisa Alfton, and we will be presenting a day of heart-centeredness. The workshop has sold out, but I'm just really looking forward to going down there. And on the 23rd, I will be with Mia Kafkios as we close the Lionsgate. Got some lovely stuff coming up. All right, lots of love. Bye for now.